One of the things we've been talking about over the last really couple of years is the reality of quite strong economic numbers. Now, we will talk on the bonus show today about the downgrade of American debt. I don't know that this dramatically changes the overall state of the economy and the labor force, but we'll discuss that on the bonus show. But from a political strategy standpoint, one of the really interesting things that's going on is that because the economy really is pretty solid, Republicans sort of have no idea what to do. Now, one of the things they're trying to do is just say the economy's bad. It's not really landing. There are people, if you go to Trump rallies and you interview people, you'll see people repeat this line from Trump: we've got to turn the economy around. Bidenomics is socialist, it's Marxist, it's anarchist, as some say. But it's not really landing nationally. Nationally, the country sort of thinks the economy's okay, maybe not as good as the numbers show, but it's not really working. So now the question becomes, what do Republicans talk about? What do they do? There's a really interesting article by Jennifer Rubin, not someone I'm like a huge fan of, but this opinion piece in the Washington Post is quite good. And it's called "Without a Recession to Exploit, the Republican Party Has Lost Economic Coherence." And in this article, summarizing it, we'll link to it, but summarizing it, Jennifer Rubin says, there's really a lack of economic plans and policies. And there's not a recession right now. Republicans continue to insist, oh, there might be, we're on the brink of a recession. We always sort of might be, but it's not clear that we are right now. And Republicans really aren't offering constructive alternatives to the Biden agenda. They attack the Biden agenda. They attack the Inflation Reduction Act. They attack student loan forgiveness. They do all these things, but they don't really propose anything other than this vague and general, the Green New Deal is bad. Remember, the Green New Deal isn't law, although elements of it are arguably part of the Inflation Reduction Act, which to a partial degree have started to be implemented. That's pretty weak if your argument is we will end the Green New Deal. We don't really have it. They generally and vaguely want to lower taxes, except Biden hasn't actually raised taxes on the vast majority of Americans. So that also kind of falls flat. And this is how we end up with Republicans focusing on obstructionism and focusing on culture wars. As we look around, and many of us who think logically and sort of try to analyze things for what they are, we see the obsession with drag shows. We see the obsession with what they call child genital mutilation, gender affirming care, how we teach about slavery in schools, woke and Barbie and all these stupid things. And we wonder, why are they doing this? These don't really seem to be the big issues for most Americans. The reason they're doing it is they are completely incoherent on economic issues. And this is potentially a major problem for Republicans. Now, there is a contingent, even of people in my audience, who see this. They see the economy is pretty good and Republicans are offering nothing and instead just playing politics, saying the economy is bad, and meanwhile doing culture war stuff. They're going to get crushed in November of 2024. They can't possibly do well. The economy's good. They're going to get crushed. I think it is premature to assume that Republicans will get crushed in November of 2024 just because the economy, by just about every metric, is doing well. And there's a couple different reasons for that. Number one, it's about the perception of the economy more than it is about the economy. There was a time 20 years ago where the average voter more accurately assessed the state of the economy. If the economy was pretty good, the average voter would realize the economy is pretty good. And then usually they would be likely to vote to continue with more of whatever is in power, whoever is in power, on that basis that they understand the economy is pretty good and I realize it's pretty good. That is different right now. It's different for a number of different reasons. It's different because of the amount of disinformation and propaganda and fake news that's out there insisting the economy's bad, even though the economy's not bad. Number two, the Republican Party has abandoned policy and is focused on insisting the economy is bad while pointing the eyes and the attention and ears of voters in other directions. And number three, the election isn't for another, 15 months. The economy may not be as good in 15 months as it is right now. So I think it would be wrong and extremely short-sighted to assume we don't have to worry about 2024. The economy's good. That means Joe Biden and Democrats widely win. So that's one thing. Everyone must vote. We're not going to take our eye off the ball. From a more general kind of analysis perspective, it is interesting that the Republican Party has nothing left but the culture war. And it is a culture war that on paper they are losing. When you poll people about wokeness, when you poll people about drag shows, every single one of these questions, I know that if you go on Breitbart or if you go on, Reddit, Reddit or Twitter, which is now called X. I have to keep track of what things are called now. You might get the impression that these issues are just the foremost on everyone's mind. But it really is interesting to see that they are obsessed with issues that are not the most important issues for Americans because they have failed on the economy. The economy is pretty good, and they're offering nothing coherent. We're going to follow whether the narrative or story changes from Republicans over the next 15 months or even within the Republican primary. But for right now, absent a recession, Republicans don't really know what to do about the very solid but by no means perfect economy that we have under Joe Biden.